Hello everyone, and welcome to my review for Kengan Omega Chapter 131. Just a quick little announcement before we get into this week's review. I have lowered the subscriber goal for 2021 down to 4,000 because, let's be real here, unless the rate of subscriber gain is increased tenfold in the next week, we're not going to hit 5,000. So 4,000 seems much more reasonable, seems pretty achievable based on how quickly we gain subs these days. So yeah, if you haven't already, definitely subscribe. I guarantee if everyone watching this video right now who's not subscribed hit that subscribe button, we'd hit our goal in no time. So yeah, with that, let's get right on to the review. This week's chapter, I didn't think was particularly remarkable. It was just kind of an alright chapter. Really not that much to talk about. The fight is still kind of getting started for the most part. So can't really get quite a feel for it yet. It's off to a pretty decent start thus far. Not really any major problems with it. The closest thing I could have to a problem is Ohma just being really dumb, like being really arrogant for seemingly no good reason. And what I mean by this is what he started doing last chapter, which is just standing around dodging all of Lolong's punches to test out his pre-initiative, pretty much, with no efforts to counter whatsoever. In the previous times we've seen battles of pre-initiative, usually both sides are trying to attack each other, but in this case, Ohma was just not doing anything. He was seemingly just testing out how good his pre-initiative is. And as Lolong points out in what's probably the best part of this chapter, that's really dumb. Lolong is not someone that you should be testing out your techniques on. Drop the pretentious master act or I'll crush you. Lolong is not someone that you should be playing around with. That'd be like Ohma going up against Kuroki and just kind of very casually testing the waters with him and stuff like that. No. Lolong is a guy that you need to be taking seriously if you're gonna fight him, or you're gonna get your shit rocked. And we see Ohma kinda does start getting his shit rocked a little bit in this chapter, and then finally starts getting serious and fighting back. But that moment from Lolong was just pretty cool. Now the biggest reveal from this week's chapter is the confirmation that Ohma does indeed know Kure techniques. We aren't told which ones exactly. I know some people have said it looks like Ohma tried doing one of the attacks that Ryan used on Alan. I think it was called Avidya or something like that. One of the cooler named Kure techniques. I know with Carla making a big deal out of Ohma having mastered the Kure techniques, it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe Ohma mastered hard slam and leg thrust in only 2 years. Holy shit, he must be a genius. But other ones, we're probably going to see more Kure techniques than just the ones that Ryan used before ripping Alan in half. We already know Lion's Bite is a thing. That one actually has a cool name and is a fairly impressive move. I doubt we would see Ohma use Lion's Bite in this match because you should not be trying to kill Lolong. But regardless, we're gonna get to see more Kure stuff. And next chapter, we are probably going to be getting at least the first of Ohma's flashbacks. I don't know if Ohma's gonna get more than one. Because, him being back from the dead is kind of a big deal, but we already sort of addressed that right after Ohma returned. So this is probably going to be more so about what Ohma's been training to do. We may also end up getting a flashback at some point about how he's been mastering the advance and the other parts of the Nico style, because Ohma doesn't really use the Nico style this chapter. He uses Indestructible to stop himself from taking damage from Lolong's strikes, but that's about it. It's mostly just him using Kure techniques. So next week's chapter is probably going to be, a third of it dedicated to a flashback of Ohma training with maybe Ryan and the other members of the Kure clan. So that should be pretty interesting. And this is also something very interesting to take into consideration when we look at where Ohma stacks up against the other top-tier characters. Because already knowing the Nico style, not just knowing the Nico style, but being a master of the Nico style really goes a long way. And then adding Kure techniques on top of that just kind of adds like a whole nother level to it. Do I think Ohma will use removal? Probably not, because I think removal is just a really bad technique for non-Kure clan members to use. The reason only the Kure clan uses it, for the most part, is because if a non-member uses it, there's like a 1 in a million% chance that they won't fucking die immediately. It's either 1 in a million or 1 in 10 million. I don't remember what the number was. Most people will just die. Alternatively, you are going to suffer like catastrophic brain damage and just kind of damage to your body in general. Because the limiters that your brain places on your body are there for a reason. They're to stop you from hurting yourself. So removal, probably not a good idea to use anyway. I've seen some people suggest that he'll use removal and advance at the same time. Now, that sounds like a terrible idea. Not necessarily from a writing perspective, a terrible idea in terms of strategy, or, you know, Ohma not wanting to die. I guess that would be like sort of an instant win, maybe. I guess not, because Faye didn't get the win for Purgatory, though he also knocked Walk out, I don't know. Because the safe way to use the advance is to only use a little bit of it. Only use it within the safe amount that you can use it without damaging your heart and your brain and, you know, your blood vessels, stuff like that. Removal, removing the limiters that are supposed to stop you from doing more than your body can handle, sounds like a catastrophic combination if used with the advance. You would just blow up if you used both of them at the same time, so I don't think Ohma's going to use both of them. Sounds like a bad idea. I think Ohma's just going to be using his sort of controlled advance that we saw he had when he came back with Ryan in Chapter 50. Or did we not see that till Chapter 51? I don't remember. You know, when he came back. So I imagine next week we may see Ohma sort of start taking more control of the fight, because right now they're in kind of a stalemate almost. They seem to be on fairly equal footing. Next week, I imagine, as we get an explanation of Ohma's new mastery of Kure techniques, he's going to start getting the upper hand on Lelong, and then Lelong's probably going to start using other martial arts, because I highly doubt that Silat is the only martial art that he practices. I know Silat is really strong in Kengan from what we saw from Misasa using it, but Silat's not going to be the only thing Lelong has. He's going to have other martial arts, and once he starts experiencing the Kure techniques, he's going to switch to a different style or use multiple different styles that are more fitted to counteracting them. I'm still fairly confident that the Lelong's going to win. I don't think the information that Ohma has Kure techniques changes my prediction for the outcome too much. I think Lelong's going to win very high difficulty. I'm not sure really anything getting introduced is going to change my prediction for that. The fact that Ohma has not used the Nico style at all yet kind of raises some questions. I don't know. Maybe the Nico style is like 10 times better now or something. Or I guess Ohma's 10 times better at it. But who knows? But yeah, with that is pretty much all I have to say for this week's chapter. Mostly just them fighting, not really any big reveals other than the Kure techniques. And then we didn't really get a ton of information on that. Mostly just a they fight chapter, not any big crazy stuff to talk about. So yeah, with that, that's all for this week's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Kengan Omega chapter reactions and reviews every week. If you enjoy discussing Kengan Omega with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce in this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have links to that down in the description. And since it's the end of the video, it's time to give a shout out to my wonderful patrons. Special thanks to Fuse, Neo, Dijon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, Zach Rowitz, K-God, Chris Redfield, Scratch23, Rat, Ryzen 4K, Artist, Mac Campaign, Wave of Manga, and Sam the Ace. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out at some point during the video, Or if you want to get access to reviews for Solo Leveling and The Boxer, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.